So let's call the September meeting of the Measure H CBOC to order at 4:33 p.m. Melanie, you want to do roll call, please?
Okay. Skip Kaiser. I see you waving. He is muted. Kevin Brooks.
Present.
Richard
Sorry
Beck.
about that.
Here, present.
Ronald Sartori.
Present.
Barbara Franco. Saw her a minute ago. Barb, are you here? Oh, I see her waving. Jason Gramlich.
Not here today, looks like.
Okay. Greg,
Morning.
how do you pronounce your last name?
Chaponi.
Chaponi. Got it. Scott Warren.
Here.
Steve Duff. Okay, this is not present. Jill Barwick. At this time is not present. Gary Woodruff. Appears he is not present. And Jason Gramlich appears that he is not present. For staff, we have Mike Pearson. Jordan Michaels, our technical director. Kelly Jurgensen.
Hello.
Myself, Melanie Griffiths. Carlos Villafuerte.
Right.
And I don't see Patty, so I'm going to delete her. Okay, that's everyone. What time did we do call to order? Kevin, I didn't hear an official call to order time.
4:33.
4:33. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Item number 3 on the agenda is the acceptance of the agenda, which is before us here.
I can go to the actual document if anyone needs to zoom in a bit. I don't know if you have it with you at home, but I can escape out of here and zoom in if need be.
I think someone made reference to the older folks. And although based on consultation with our counselor, I believe that's a term of art. Nonetheless, zooming out would be beneficial, please.
All right.
Term of art.
And bear with me. I've got lots of screens going. There you go. That's a little bit easier to read, I would guess.
Much
Okay.
easier.
We see it. Yeah. I read it. Yeah.
This is sort of the boilerplate stuff. There's more here.
I make a motion, we accept the agenda.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, excellent. The agenda is accepted. Next item is item number 4. Kelly, can you pull up the minutes, please, in larger format?
Absolutely.
Larger format for the elderly folk.
I apologize for interrupting, but who seconded it? Was that Ronald or Greg?
Might have been me. Might have been Greg.
Greg. Okay, thank you, Greg.
Welcome.
All right. Just holler when you guys are ready to scroll.
Fine. Approval of minutes.
I'm good.
Good.
Any comments, anyone on expenditure review?
Oh, sorry. Scrolled too soon.
Nope, nope, you're good.
Okay.
All right. Project updates. Old business. New business.
That was it.
That was it. Okay. Any questions, comments, considerations, anybody?
I move that we accept the minutes.
Richard is on fire tonight. All right. Do we have a second, please?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Skip's raising his hand. Any opposed? All right, minutes are accepted. Okay, item number 5. Do we have anyone from the public present for
We do
the
not.
meeting?
We do not.
They are missing out.
Listen to fun.
Okay, we will forego the reading of the preamble and move on to section item number 6 on the agenda, which is our usual and customary and regular review of expenditures.
All right, so today we're going to do a little bit of an abbreviated expenditure report, and we're going to dive in at item C to kind of addressing the specific comments and some ideas that were discussed. So really quick, key analytics report that you received in the July meeting has changed very little. And the reason for that being is that you received a close of the fiscal year report as of June 30th. From June 30th till now, we were busy constructing and putting together all of the projects that we were procuring prior to the report you received. So just not a lot of new procurement between now and then. We thought we'd give a short update on what the close of the fiscal year looks like.
Hey, Kelly,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, can I jump in?
Sure.
Just to be clear, there's been little change in the encumbrances, or what I would say commitments, because that was all done to facilitate that the work was continuing through the summer.
Correct.
But there would be changes in the expenditures, right? Because you're spending money, or the district's spending money.
Yes, so you know, if you have a contract with a vendor for $5 million, a contractor, and you procured that in, you know, May or June, then yes, you were doing pay apps July, August, but the encumbrance, we weren't buying anything new at that point in time. We were just paying the POs that were already issued.
Right, so if one were to go through the report, one would see reduced cost to complete, and more costs incurred against the existing commitments or encumbrances.
Absolutely right. And
Okay.
we will have an updated report in November. At that point, we will have also closed the books on a lot of the projects that happened over the summer. So you can see projects that have been completed and then the balances that are remaining in the funds. So that'll be a little bit more informative than if I were to just give you pretty much the same report as you saw in July.
Okay, any questions from any committee members on the report?
Kelly, what have they actually spent as of the last time you looked? Not encumbered, but what has actually gone out?
I can look that up for you maybe when somebody else is talking in a second, but I don't know that number off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Richard,
I can look it up.
Richard, to be more specific, are you asking total?
Yeah, I mean, if the 259 million, I mean, how much is actually not there anymore? I mean, not just encumbered, but it's physically gone
Been
from,
spent.
has
Been
left the
spent.
building. Yeah, it's been spent.
Let me see how quick I am. Now you've laid down the gauntlet. 1 second.
Okay. And so we'll have an updated report at the November meeting.
That is correct.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. You have spent to date. It shows me all my remaining balances, but not my spent to date on this one. I'll look it up and send it to you.
Thanks, Sean. I
I'm
mean,
gonna bog everyone down, sorry.
no, and I assume that, but the encumbrances you spent most of the $259 million.
Absolutely. Right now, we
I-
have encumbered
Yeah.
almost the entire, we've encumbered basically everything, but 1.2 million.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We have budgeted everything but 1.2 million. We have about 10 million left that has not been encumbered. The majority of that is in the technology side.
Okay. Thank you.
So close of the fiscal year, just to give a little context on what that looks like. The report that you received was the close of the fiscal year report as of June 30th. So June 30th is the last day of the fiscal year for the district. At that point, what this office does is ensures that all of the current vendors for the district have billed up to June 30th. So that there's a lot of haranguing, and Melanie does a lot of that for us, and so does Marie, where you're calling vendors and saying, you know, bill me, bill me, bill me. It's the end of the fiscal year. And I know anyone who has a business knows how that works. So we do a lot of that. And then we do all the setups for the next fiscal year. And the way the district's accounting system works, it is 1 year cycles. So we have to then communicate with accounting and give them all the information on how much money we intend to spend in the following fiscal year. And then they set up those account lines for us moving forward. So there's kind of a lot of work that happens leading up to June 30th and then in the month of July to get us ready for the next fiscal year. So that's what's happening. The key analytics reporting kind of idles during that month while we get all our ducks in a row. And just recently there was a big update to the new fiscal year so that we can start keeping track of upcoming projects. So it's sort of a close and an open that we have to do every year. And what key analytics really helps us do is let that 1 year cycle that comes from the district's accounting system talk to the long-term budgets that are in key analytics. So there's a lot of back and forth. It's our most busy time of year dealing with accounting and making sure we got everything right. So just a little context for that.
When does the audit actually kick off?
The audit is already underway. So in July or August, the auditors send us a list of items that their preliminary look. And so we provide all that documentation to them in the summertime, and then they come back in the fall and finish the audit.
Okay.
So that's already been underway. Our first batch of documentation has gone to the auditors already.
Okay.
All right.
Any questions from the committee on anything that's been discussed so far?
But Kelly, for the new members, not everything is audited. Am I correct? It's just things that they ask for.
That is correct. So it's a random audit, but they don't quote me, but I think it's like 70% of all of the funds expended that year. And that's the financial side. Then there's also the performance side where they pull contracts and ask us for information on how they were bid. Do we have all the contractual information, all that kind of thing. So there's two sides. They do a side with accounting, and then they do a side with performance. We do help sometimes with certain things with accounting, but our office, it's more about the performance to make sure that we're doing everything according to public contract code and things like that. Looks like Skip has a question.
Not to drag out the technicalities, everything is audited, not everything is tested.
Right. Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
So yeah, they don't look at every single dollar or every single piece of paper, but it's a very large sample.
And they follow standard government office auditing standards or whatever the acronym is.
Yep, and they have to present those in their report. You guys have probably seen that before. Yeah, it's pretty standard, and there's firms that just specialize in this, like Siobhan and Associates. All right, next steps for updated implementation plan. As we begin to close out for this summer's work, we're looking forward to doing another updated implementation plan in December of 2022. So what we would do is look at all the projects that we've closed the books on at that point in time. And then we would update the implementation plan as we've done for the last several years in a row now, take it to board. We would also capture any new state funding. We are expecting a little bit more state funding coming through the pipeline. So we would update that and then take it to board for approval. As you can imagine, those projects that are active, that list is getting shorter and shorter, and we only have a few things left to accomplish in that capital improvement plan. I don't know, Mike, if you have anything to add on that one.
No, I just think we'd like to keep the same pace we've taken. So we bring it to a CBOC for a look at, and then we take it to the board for approval in the December board meeting.
So will that be, should we budget time for that in the November meeting?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate to do that. And like Kelly said, I mean, we certainly can dedicate as much time as necessary, but it shouldn't be a long period of time just because we don't have a lot of projects
Right.
currently underway or ongoing.
And Kelly, what other sources of money were found or enabled by Measure H this time around?
So the ones that we're waiting on right now is the state allocation board did approve our application for funding from the River project. So we're going to leverage some state funding from River. And then we are also going to be leveraging some state funding potentially from Willow. The state allocation board is looking at that application right now to be agendized. So there's some money in the pipeline. We're still months away from seeing it, but it will be coming along. And I'm thinking that we will have a firmer handle on exactly how much money that is by the time we do this next implementation plan. Looks like Jill has a question.
Yeah, Kelly, you mentioned that there's about $10 million, give or take, not encumbered, and it's on the technology side. They've already spent money for the Chrome computer, right, in the beginning. What would this be applied to?
So there's several different, we call them the buckets of money, but it's like subjects of projects. So there's still some funds to be spent on things like possible repairs and replacements to PA system, additional front of classroom, additional infrastructure money. So the projects where we put in new fiber and cabling. So I can't speak to the details because it's actually not our office, Mike and I, that does that part of it. But I don't know, Mike, if maybe Jordan can speak a little bit to it.
Yeah, we can turn it over to Jordan, see if he can speak to it. And also just, I forgot to mention this to everybody, but Rob Manguala is definitely and really under the weather. So that's why he is not able to join us on this meeting. But Jordan, I don't know if you have anything to comment on some of the questions are asked.
Actually, Kelly, you answered it really well. There's just, we have some outstanding projects that we're hoping to finish in those sort of those bucket areas like PA, wireless infrastructure, and front of classroom. And we do have a little left in the one-to-one device area as well. So
great, thank you.
Hey, Jordan, I assume those projects have all been scoped and it's just a matter of bidding them out?
Not fully yet, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just for the committee's understanding, right? So if roughly speaking, there's $10 million left, does that mean 90% of that has yet to be scoped? 75% of that has yet to be scoped?
I would hesitate to have like a rough number or an exact number, but
or a range.
Yeah. Right now, like say for instance, like the public address section, there's a couple schools that have a big need in upgrading the PA, and that's going to take a large amount of that bucket. So it's not like we have anything on paper scoped, but we do have everything sort of allocated in terms of projects.
Yeah, and 2 points of clarification. The 10 million unencumbered is for both the technology and
Fair enough. Yeah.
the construction side. So it's more like a 80-20
Okay.
percentage roughly. And then the other thing I'd want to make sure everybody understands is that there's very little like competitive bidding going on the tech side in the way that we'd be traditionally seeing it. There's a lot more procurement on best value and other selection processes that go in to doing the tech side. So it's not like a typical construction bidding on some of these projects. They also can do piggybacks and CMAS and things like that.
Do we anticipate those monies being encumbered before the end of this coming fiscal year?
I don't know. I couldn't speak to that. I think it's possible a good chunk of it could be, huh?
Jordan, have
Jordan?
you had a discussion with Rob on that?
Yeah. We're hopefully, I mean, we are anticipating it to most of it to be in, well, I mean, I don't want to say for sure, but yes, by the end of this fiscal year, we're hoping to have everything encumbered and started. But sometimes with technology projects, there's a bit of a delay in terms of just getting everything planned out explicitly. So, but yes, I can say by the end of the fiscal year, that's our goal.
And I think it'd be safe to say, Jordan, right, that some of the infrastructure work that had to be done with the cabling and fiber really had to go first before you thought about installing systems in some of these sites, right?
Yeah, so we had to do the fiber and installs first, and then we moved on to the network infrastructure, which is like the switching, and then the last sort of a goal of ours is to make sure that our Wi-Fi is upgraded to industry standard, because those cycles have a much faster turnaround than say like a fiber project or a switching project, which can last over 10, 12, 15 years. Wi-Fi has to be recycled much, much quicker. So.
Okay, any other questions from the Committee on Technology? Thank you, Jordan.
Of course.
Kelly, back to you.
All right, review of specific comments. So I'm going to come out of the spreadsheet or out of the slideshow for a second and go into a spreadsheet. Oops.
So maybe maybe setting the table here
That'd be great. Go ahead.
for the new members. I'm thinking we have done 5 reports.
Sounds right.
And in each report, the committee in past years has developed what we call specific comments based on the 12 months of time and our associated meetings and everything that's been churned through during that time frame, during the time frame for which the annual report in question covers. And the specific comments have evolved obviously over time. And what you have in front of you here, I think this is the last table we put together for the last annual report, correct?
That is
Kelly?
correct. Mhm.
Okay, and so this is just a recap of the specific comments from each of the annual reports. And one of the items that we would like to accomplish at the next meeting in November is to align the committee's comments as they stand as of November with the district's responses as they stand as of November, and give everybody a head start on this coming annual report cycle. All right, with that, Kelly, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, so what has been discussed, I know in our office, and Mike can feel free to jump in here whenever he wants, what is the standard for which the committee considers an item closed? So for instance, we have some items here in the yellow zone. So red obviously is closed. The committee has agreed they're closed, so there's not even really a reason to look at those for this agenda item. But here in the yellow, we have some items from previous reports. And there are the comment and then some follow-up information. And then there is a district response. So I think the question would be, if the committee considers that item still open, then it would be good to discuss what would satisfy the committee to make it be a closed item moving forward. I don't know, Mike, jump in if I miss
And to build
anything.
on that, I think what we had committed to, and we just haven't been able to get that happening at this point, but we do have a date in the future to get this done, was to meet with some members and to particularly the members that were responsible for not the exact item, but newer the members that have been part of the Measure H for several years, to make sure that we're meeting the goal that we're supposed, that the acceptable response to meet the needs of the committee members. And so Kevin and I have talked, and we have a meeting scheduled out there to go over these specific ones in yellow, and then craft a response that hopefully will meet the needs of the CBOC. We're trying to avoid the ping-ponging back and forth, where we give a response and then the members say, oh, yes or no. And if they say no, then it's kind of like, not that it's not been clear. I just want to get, I want to meet the goal, meet the expectation. And so I thought it'd be better to have this meeting, have a meeting with Kevin and another member if needed, or if they'd like to join us, so that we can craft an acceptable response, or at least attempt to craft an acceptable response to be approved by the CBOC.
Right, and so, Counselor, how many folks are we allowed to have in said meeting based on our current?
It's whatever is it's whatever is a minority of the committee. So I can't remember exactly how many we have right now.
We have 11.
Could be 5.
So, yeah, 5.
Okay.
Looks like Skip has a question.
More to Kevin, I guess. You want to weigh in on this? You want me to weigh in on it?
Well, let me make my comment and then I'll hand it off to you, Skip. So, I mean, so from a housekeeping point of view, we have a meeting scheduled for, I think it's the 29th.
Yes.
In the morning, in person. We can have up to 5 people in attendance. It would be good from my perspective to have a mix of old and new. From
Yes.
Mike, I think Mike, you asked a question. What would be considered, I guess, an acceptable response from the district? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, I want to know, I want to go over the questions that are still pending to learn more, just to kind of have an opportunity to learn more. What's the lack of detail or the lack of information that's not meeting an acceptable response. So right. I felt that would be, it's super helpful to hear from people, because otherwise, like I said, this ping ponging just keeps going back.
Right. No, and so the intent of the meeting is to have that dialogue in person,
right, and
not generate 100 emails that I can never keep up with. As far as a quote unquote acceptable response, just speaking from a high level qualitative conceptual viewpoint, some sort of specific response versus, and I'm not saying this would be done, we're working on it, right? I think that's what, from a high level view, if it doesn't exist already, that's what the committee is looking for.
Agreed.
Skip, why don't you jump in?
Okay. I sent Mike an email. I think I CC'd you on it. But after the last meeting, and this is obviously, something that kind of rankles people. And so it's fair to get this thing on a table and get it wrapped up. Now, in specific answer to, or using an example anyway, if you take a look at the first item there, AR 2016-17, section 4.3, number 1. I don't see that that is ever going to not be yellow, because what the district's response was that there was no evidence of pay to play, but they continue to monitor, and hopefully they would continue to monitor that until the thing closes out. And the fact that that remains quote unquote resolved, I don't personally view as a pejorative statement. It's just a fact of life. It's a continuing item to monitor. However, without pointing to a specific item, when we get a comment, or if we were to get a comment, let's put it that way, that the district is looking into further action with no specifics about what they have found in the interim, that in the absence of any update to that comment from the district year to year, that leads me to believe that it's kind of on the back burner and nobody's paying any attention to it. That's what that was the thrust of the, let's get some more definitive response from the district, so we know that we're not being, this is a pejorative statement, not being blown off, and you can disregard that. I'm at a loss for words. Does that help? In other words, if it's legitimately in limbo because there's an ongoing observation, that's fine. But if it's something where it's laying fallow for 2 or 3 annual reports with substantively no change to the district response, we as a committee, or at least me as a committee member, doesn't know what the heck is going on.
I agree, Skip. And so, building on that, I'm not saying this is what the response would say, but the response could say something to the effect that, a combination that, CBOC members or CBOC meetings will continue to monitor report item number or response number item 2 and 3, or something like that on a semi, on an every meeting basis, or something to that effect. So I don't want to give the perception the district is putting it on the back burner. And I think it's nice that if we have it as a constant reminder at our meetings that we're bringing it up, that we bring it up, or something to that effect. So that I want there to be, there needs to be some level of accountability, that we build it into the system. So it's there, and then it's there, because there is some things honestly, we just have to monitor, and we continue to monitor them. And outside of that kind of response, which I don't want to be perceived as, not genuine. I have to put some kind of level, for example, some kind of level of accountability on the CBOC to make that continue to be that item to continue to come up for review or for discussion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough. If you take a look at the second item from the bottom,
Yeah.
AR 21718 number 10, no comment at this time, ongoing item. Now, if I see, and just to put a cap on this, and then we can move on to something else. But if I were to see that repeated year after year, I'd get the idea that maybe, there wasn't any real ongoing investigation. That's all I'm saying. I think the district's response could be a little bit more substantive and couched or constructed from the standpoint of letting the committee, and even more importantly, whoever in the public reads these things, that there is in fact, where warranted, ongoing effort. And that's,
100% agree. And that's where I was hoping the committee could help us provide some verbiage that would meet that goal. So 100% agree.
Mike, that one he just talks about too, isn't that just a number? The financing cost is just a number that we want to know?
I'd have to go back to the full, because remember, this is like
Right.
This is like there's a full paragraph that goes with that one.
Yeah.
If I remember right, I think it was more about a discussion of quote unquote, does lease back cost more because of the financing?
Right.
And so that's a hard thing to quantify in a number, because that's asking the question of what would it have cost if it were to have been bid, which you can't ever know exactly. But I think there's room for improvement in that comment. That's a good example.
But another thing though, I would want to point out is, to me, Mike, no is an answer sometimes too. It's like, we're not doing anything about that. I mean, that isn't, to me,
Yeah, I appreciate that, Richard. And I think I heard that at the last meeting, and then and then it kind of got that statement or something, not recanted, but sort of like built upon, like, no, actually, I don't want to do it. So that's why I want to meet, and I want to come up. I think it's fair that we meet.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's.
A response, and yes, it may
Right.
be no, but maybe it's no, but thank you for your, I don't know, building on some more words in there. I don't know what it is, but
We
something like,
don't encourage negative responses, but yeah, we can accept them.
yeah, okay, exactly. Thank you, Skip.
So I just have a question here. These are active comments living in the annual report that the committee submits, right?
That's correct.
So there's a couple of I just sort of building on what Mike said. I think there's probably a lot of improvement that could be done on what we're telling the public, because like I look at the first one, campaign contributions from bidding contractors, no evidence of pay to play, continue to monitor. Well, we must be talking about the bond campaign for Measure H, which that committee has been closed. It is impossible to give contributions to that committee anymore. We can't possibly be talking about contributions to board members because that's well outside the ambit of the committee. So I just wonder if we're going to flag these as active, and I'm not trying to complicate things, but just for the benefit of the public, to the extent that we can provide some sense of finality for these comments, even if it is a genuine request that is not acceded to by the district or something that constitutes, an ongoing monitoring. I think there's a lot of improvement to be done on some of these.
Right, there is a bit of wordsmithing that needs to happen. And this thing, the table has evolved, and there is just, there is, a couple different versions out there. I think everyone is interested in settling on one version with cleaned up wordsmithing. And that's the intent, right? To develop one conformed record as built document that, the elderly ones can hand off to the new ones.
Seasoned, thank you, seasoned. Thank you.
Seasoned, thank you.
Or veteran.
So I don't know. Go ahead, Carlos.
Well, one that provides as much clarity for the public that won't, doesn't come to these meetings all the time and needs sort of a more digestible summary, while at the same time, this is the committee's report, right? It's their right to report these things. And so, just trying to get a little bit of a balance there.
Yep. Yeah. So the intent is to have this meeting with Kevin and other members, if they'd like to be, go item by item, not to craft the actual response to them, but just to kind of build on some bullets that we then as a system here, we go back and do, and then have my interest, and I think it's an interest I know of the CBSC members that are terming out in November, is to have a response here before their term expires in November.
So any questions so far from any of the committee members on this fascinating topic?
One last comment. Carlos is right. We shouldn't be misleading the public, and I can see where if you read those first couple of comments, you may think that that's an ongoing problem. On the other hand, what I would have preferred to see from the district was some positive step to make sure that, for instance, and this may not be a valid approach, but the bidders checklist has been annotated to ensure that successful bidders aren't, the decision hasn't been influenced by a successful bidder's contribution to the bond campaign or something to that effect. But I can see where the novice that comes to one of these things might think that, oh, this is an ongoing problem, when in fact it probably isn't an ongoing problem. It just wasn't resolved to the committee's satisfaction. Let's move on.
Do any of the committee members desire us to just run through the comments just to describe them from a high level at this point? Would you like to do that on your own? I mean, I know there's nothing more that people want to do at night. Just asking.
So if you did want to do it on your own, just to orientate the committee members on how this works, is the AR and the year references the annual report from that year. So if you wanted to see the full body of the comment, so the number one we were just looking at, if you wanted to see the full body of the original comment, you would go to the annual report 1617, you would go to section 3.1, and it would be item number 1, and you would see then, you know, multiple sentences that would help you understand what that comment was. So if you're doing that at home, I just want to make sure everybody understood that's how it works. All of that is available in the documents on the Google Drive that are linked on the website. But if there was confusion, you could certainly call or email me and I could point you to where those documents are.
Alternately, we can run through that right now up to the group.
If you want to move on, I'm okay with moving on, Kevin.
Yeah,
I actually know this.
Let's move on.
I'm okay with moving on.
Okay.
yeah.
I wouldn't mind being a part of whatever small group you want to put together.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now the meeting is scheduled for, don't shoot me. I didn't pick the time, Mike and Kevin did, but it's at 7:30 in our office in Napa. And that is on Thursday, the 29th of September.
Will there be donuts?
Yes,
No,
of
Kevin's
course.
providing coffee. He already told us that.
I would be happy to bring you donuts, Richard, or golden bagel, which is one of my favorites.
Kelly or Melanie, you're the organizer, so you have to invite people.
Absolutely. So I think it might be a good idea right now, if you plan to come, to let us know, because what I would hate to do is have more
Too
than
many
5
people.
people show up and then we have to turn people away. So
Kelly, you became very quiet. I don't know if that's on your end or my end.
Lost the audio.
We lost your audio, Kelly. This could turn into a sign language exercise.
how about now?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Something went
Very
wrong.
low.
Your
Something-
volume is low.
Quiet, Kelly.
Oh, weird. Can you hear me now? Still quiet?
Better.
Okay, I'll just talk a little louder. I don't know what's going on. So I was just saying that we might want to just establish who's coming if you know you're coming now, only because I can only take 5 and I would hate to have 6 show up and then I have to turn someone away.
Gotcha.
Ron wants to be there. Kevin wants to be there. Anybody else? Richard?
Skip.
That's fine.
That's 4. I think that's enough. But if someone else would really like to be there, going once, going twice.
Jill is raising her hand,
Oh,
and I
Jill.
can vaguely hear her. Jill, we're having a hard time hearing you as well.
Good.
Jill can take my spot.
I think we're good. Hold on one
You're
second.
still good. You can be there, Richard, if you want. So Jill, Richard, Skip, Kevin, and Ron.
So I've got Jill, Richard, Skip, Kevin, and Ron. Yep, I'm about to add all of you to the invite right now.
It'll be in the maintenance and operations office at 1660 Lincoln. We'll send you an invitation out, but 1616 Lincoln. I think most of you have been here before. It's a beehive of activity at 7:30 in the morning, just so you know.
All right, I'm hitting send. If anybody doesn't get the invite, please holler at me and let me know, but you should all have it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll keep looking.
Keep looking, Richard. If you don't get it, let me know.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, let's move on to item number 7 then.
Okay. All right. Okay, so project update for this meeting. I wanted to quickly go through a very brief presentation that we did for the Board of Trustees on August 25th. Gives you a little bit of an update on the projects that were accomplished over the summer. So I'm going to switch slideshows here for a sec. All right. So as I mentioned, facilities bond update from the 25th of August. We reviewed campus mod, roofing and HVAC projects, fencing, kitchens, American Canyon Middle School student comments, and some of our summer to-do list projects. So we did campus modernization work at NVLA. At NVLA, we did a new coat of exterior paint, some pretty significant site work and path of travel improvements, as well as all new roofing and all new HVAC systems at that campus. So there's a couple of photos of the new paint job and some new pathways there. And then in addition to that, with the campus mod project, we also did Napa High gym and Redwood Middle School's gym, new roofing and new HVAC systems. Those are both on their original gyms, not the small practice ones. So any questions there?
Yeah, Kelly, that's the entrance. The big picture is the entrance to the school, right?
That is correct.
Is that fenced? Is the front of the school fenced?
It is about to be, and that's on a slide coming up in a second.
Very good, thank you.
All right, fencing going on this summer. New Tech High School received fencing, Phillips Elementary, Alta Heights Elementary, Northwood Elementary, Bel Air Elementary, and NVLA's fencing is happening right now as we speak. So fencing's going up there. There was a lot of activity at NVLA this summer and contractors going in and out. So the fencing got pushed a little bit out so that we could accommodate the contractors. Pictures, the top left is Northwood. The top right is New Tech. The bottom left is Phillips and the bottom right is Alta Heights. Alta Heights, that's a very far back gate that used to just be a pole gate. It was sort of a safety hazard. During the school day, anyone could really walk on campus. So some examples there.
How tall is that fence?
Depending on the location of the fence, they're either 6 foot or 8 foot fences, and they are all no climb fabric. So instead of the traditional 2-inch diamond that you see on chain link, it's a 1-inch, so you can't get as good of a foothold.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right.
Back to the fencing for a second.
Sure.
I want this the oversight members to know that with the fencing too, we did not fence the entire perimeter of campuses for lots of reasons. We had a little bit of a lesson learned at Willow Elementary School where we did and fence the entire campus with our own fencing, and that proved to be problematic, and it will prove to be problematic for a number of reasons, and I can go into those if you'd like. So we went to we decided at school sites, ongoing school sites, that we would assess the fencing that goes around the perimeter of the campus and determine what level it was in. And based on that, then we would make recommendations on putting up new fencing or not putting up new fencing and using the existing fencing that was already there. Any neighbor who has at some school sites, there are neighbors who have a gate that opens up onto the school field. We would send notice to that neighbor and let them know that their fence will be that gate would be bolted shut, and we've taken measures to make sure that they don't have access to the school at any time because of that, because of the gate that they have opening onto the campus. So wanted you all just to know that we made some adjustments, and that's actually been a cost-saving measure, but that allowed us to put more fencing up at other school sites, and if we adopt the standard of the non-climb, which is it's a more expensive fabric than the traditional fencing. So I'll stop and see if there's any questions regarding the fencing.
Yeah, another question. I have another question. Does that mean the campuses, in fact, playfields and stuff, are off limits to
No.
the public during the work day or during the weekend?
No. In most instances, no. We keep the campuses open to the public. We have a system in place where they're closed down during the school day and usually in the afternoon, depending upon the after-school programming happening on each school site. But then we have a process where the custodian will then allow access to the play fields and the ball fields. They may not have 100% access to all the play fields. Well, they will have all the play fields, but maybe not all the playgrounds because of the location of the playground or the play structure in the campus. We do have, and I think MBLA is going to be one of them, where we allow access to the softball fields on the west side of the campus, excuse me, the east side of the campus.
Yeah.
But it is virtually impossible for us to create a situation to allow people access to the play structure that exists on campus. There was just no way we could do this and make sure the site had good supervision, good access into the play structure. So which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That site is heavily impacted on the weeknights and weekends with vandalism. So it's actually more of a buttoning up project that we embarked on. If when Measure A1 passes, one of our recommendations would be to move that playground structure in such a way that it can then be accessible by the public, and we can do the fencing appropriately, so that we can allow for the public to use that, to access that play structure, since it is an interest from the general public to utilize our resources.
We also, it's a really popular area out in front of this campus, the grass area in the evenings. Some of that has remained unfenced so that the community can still hang out there as well.
Yeah. Good question though, Richard.
All right. So additionally, this summer, we had 2 more kitchen projects going on, one at Bel Air and one at NVLA. You can tell NVLA got a lot of action this year. So Bel Air's kitchen is complete. That's the top left. NVLA's kitchen is in progress. That's the other 2 pictures that you see. What we tried to do here is lessen the impact to food service. So we had a contract. We bid out the project, the 2 sites as one project, but we had a staggered start so that the Bel Air kitchens were impacted at the end of last school year. We shut them down early and did the demolition. And then during the summer, we started the NVLA kitchens and finished it in the fall. That way we weren't impacting 2 sites with temp kitchens at the same time. So they staggered a little bit. And that seemed to work out pretty well. So we are hard at work at NVLA, and it's tracking to be done in a few weeks. All right. Okay, American Canyon Middle School Student Commons Project. It also wrapped up this summer. Building construction complete, site improvements. On August 25th, we're wrapping up. We are still working on some painting at the new basketball court. And we also gave the entire campus a new exterior paint job. And we removed several portables and did incredible improvements to the site and the overall look of the campus. So I do have a short video for you guys here. And you will see here, there's a coned off area. That area is the basketball court, which is actually being striped as we speak. So it'll look like there's a little blank spot there, but it is actually a new basketball court that's going in. So there's your little review of American Canyon Middle School student comments.
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, I got a tour of that. You gave me a tour of that place, and
Yes.
I don't think you'd do it justice by just showing it from the top. The inside of the building is amazing. Even those columns that you see there, I was very impressed with those because those actually carry the water off the roof. It's really, the inside of that building is really amazing. Yeah, you should really show pictures of that as well.
Well,
Oh
on
yeah, we're
that-
going to get some professional photos done of the inside as well.
On that note, Mr. Beck, we do have the ribbon cutting next Wednesday on the 21st, 5:30 in the afternoon, which will be taking place inside the student commons. So
There you
hopefully, if you can attend, you will be there. But if not, like Kelly said, we'll have some.
What day is that?
September 21st, 5:30 p.m.
Oh boy,
It's a ribbon cutting event. I know.
too many meetings.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
So, I mean, this stuff now seems pretty darn boring after seeing that video. But in addition to that, over the summer, we also worked on some smaller projects. We relocated some storage buildings that were on some sites that are no longer in use and made use of those as file storage at the district office. We replaced and upsized a old water line that fed fire water to a lot of buildings on campus over at Napa High, made those hydrants functional again. And Silverado Middle School's recycled water connection, we worked on that site to establish recycled water for irrigation. We are waiting on a pump. The good old supply chain is delayed there to complete that project, but the trenching and everything is already done. And then in addition, every summer maintenance and operations does flooring replacement in sites where there's wear and tear. There are HVAC system improvements that are going on a smaller scale than our big projects. And then there was also moves that were coordinated as part of the middle school redesign process. So that is it for the summer to-do list. All right, let me take you guys back to the other slideshow. All right, so what is left? Projects that still remain to be done under this capital improvement program are replacement of the turf at American Canyon Middle School, district-wide fencing phase 4. So we do have some funding left in our fencing projects, and we'll be doing a few more sites there. Maybe a potential additional campus modernization on a smaller scale next summer, depends on our state funding and how things shake out. And then we're going to continue to do portable removal when appropriate, or repairs and consolidations. So that's what's left on the agenda for the upcoming year for capital improvement program and the remaining funds.
Kelly, that turf at American Canyon, that's the football field turf. That's not that stuff we saw the kids walking on in a few minutes ago.
You're correct. Yeah, this would be to replace the field with the track and the football field. Yeah.
This is the disputed piece of property?
I don't believe it is any longer, but
Not disputed anymore. Which is a good thing.
They traded?
The board voted on Thursday, last board meeting, to proceed with the land swap acquisition. And we're in the midst of changing title on those properties between the American Canyon Middle School and that gymnasium, and the land that the sliver of land that runs between the middle school and the elementary school with the former Napa Junction site.
Was there any exchange of money or draft picks?
There wasn't any exchange of money or draft picks, but we believe that it's a good deal for the district.
There's an article in today's Napa Valley Register.
Oh, nice. Thank you for telling me that. Hopefully it's good.
All right, any other questions on project updates, folks? All right, moving on to old business, item number 8, Kelly.
All right, so again, reminder on location of information on Measure H and CBOC. I wanted to take a very quick second to show the committee a change in the website. So if you visit the website regularly, you might have noticed a change, and I wanted to go over it with you. So I'm going to share that screen now. And if you are navigating the site and you go to the main page for NBUSD, you used to be able to come down here and hit a big H and go to Measure H. That was a quick link. There were other ways to navigate to it, but if you had been doing that, I just wanted to call to attention that the new bond measure information is now located here. To get to Measure H, you need to go up here, go to About, Measure H, and then you're back at that same page that you were at before.
You can also, Kelly, go to the search bar up high.
Uh-huh.
If you type in there, you type in Measure H, it should take you to the right same spot.
There you go. So those links still work that are in the agenda in your meeting documents, but if you're navigating it manually, I just want to make sure you guys were aware of the change in the website. All right.
Kelly, I'm sorry, could I jump in?
Of course.
I don't remember where we landed on this, but we were working on or considering working on a direct link from the Measure H jumping off point to the financials.
Yes, we're working on that, Kevin.
Okay.
Yep, Kelly and our communications director have made contact, which is a great thing. That means there's a blast off. And the wheels are moving to get that done exponentially.
Yes,
Okay.
and Richard came by the office the other day and gave us some input on that too, and I was able to run the reports that he was looking for, so we should have that work done very shortly.
Will there be a link, spot there on the Measure H site that you just click on it and that'll be it? You'll see that.
We will reach out to you. I was thinking about putting your picture next to it, but we'll definitely reach out and figure out what's the best way to make sure it's noted, because I think it's an important piece, Richard. And I appreciate your leadership on that, and Kevin, you too, and Skip. I think you've all mentioned something to the effect that we have to have this there, and so we'll figure out what the best place is for it to be readily accessible to the public.
And for the committee, right, the intent is that Joe Public can go to the Measure H site and click on one link and have an opportunity to spend their waking hours reviewing all the financials for Measure H.
All right. They can do that now, Kevin, but I wanted to be able to just see, flat out what this school spent this much money, this school spent that much. I mean, just simple stuff that people can stop saying that money. I see too many things where people say, "Oh, the money was wasted. The money was wasted." Well, how do we know? And that the fact that the newspaper doesn't have to report it, and so they don't. People are in the dark about it. I mean, they can find it if they were really ambitious, but I wanted it so it was really simple to find the answer to this. And maybe it's this oversimplification, but I thought it was important that people could look and say, "Oh, well, that new Willow School costs $26.5 million, and then that's what it costs." And instead of it going to, I get the information that people say it's going to conferences and they, I mean, okay.
Really expensive conferences too.
Yeah, that's a nice conference. Okay, the other item here is just the site tour. We did have another opportunity to take a site tour, and Barb and Ron took us up on that. I don't know if either of you have anything to report. I just wanted to close the loop on that since it was on the agenda last time.
I think for me, the piece that I thought was absolutely stunning was the lighting in the new Commons building. I think the way the lighting is just so much, the natural light in that building, and the space is just amazing. It reminds me a lot of how American Canyon High School is. And I thought that was just so lucky for those kids to have that new common area, that the way the grass is in the front, I think that will definitely become the heart of that, that school. I think the way they cleaned up the 2-story math building looks terrific, and the paint made a really big difference. So really nice work, Kelly and Mike, really good.
Yeah, it was a fun one for sure.
All right, any other questions or comments on item number 8, folks? Okay, moving on to item number 9, new business.
We just had any updates on measure A1 and A2, Mike?
No, I just wanted, if you can go to the district's website, Kelly. We are dispensing information at this point, everybody, just so we all know that. But on the district's front page of the website, there is this measure A1 and A2. If you click on that document, if you click there, Kelly, then you can scroll down. And there's information around the measure, the A1 and A2, the background, how the 2 bonds keeping the money local, and then the planned improvements. If you keep going down from there, and then there's just some more, information around what the 2 bonds, the dollar amounts of the 2 bonds, and approximately the assessed values, and the costs that will happen for the voters. And then if you click on, I think you have to go back up, Kelly, I think. No, not there, not there. I wonder where it is.
I think that's.
There's a space where you can get the project. That's what I'm drawing a blank. I'm not seeing it.
Click on that, Mike. That's what you want, the project sheets, right?
Yeah, there it is. So then we have all the project sheets listed from elementary, middle, and high on there, so everybody can have access to this, and it shows the projects that we would complete at each one of the sites. And these are projects that we have budgeted to plan. So not a wish list, not whatever. No, kind of it's not a wish list. It is what we've committed to saying we can get accomplished with the money that we have. If we were fortunate enough to have the measures passed, which is, I think it's been resonating with folks, because in the past there have been documents that have had boxes on them that have a 1, a 2, or a 3. It was confusing for people to know what was going to be accomplished. And this is very, obviously very clear cut. This is what we would accomplish if the bonds were to pass, and measure for measure A1 and for measure.
Hey, Mike, just to be clear, right? So each of the projects listed on each of these campuses are slated to be completed under A1.
That's for the Napa schools, correct? And then for the American Canyon schools, that would be A2. So thanks for the clarification, Kevin. Yep.
Mike, I know it'd be helpful. You should put what day these campuses were built.
Huh.
Yeah, well, we've done some of that already, but yes, I appreciate that, Richard. That's, yeah, we're kind of,
when you have Alta Heights, 1951,
yeah, no doubt, exactly. So wanted you to see that appears on the website, and again, lots of good feedback we've been getting from folks on that. So I'll stop and see if there's any questions about measure A1 or A2. One of our committee members happens to also be a campaign chair. So she can talk a little bit more, and I see there's a question from Ron. So why don't we go Ron, and then we'll go back to Barb if she has any comments.
Yeah, I was just wondering if we had any more recent polling on, favorability on A1.
Yeah, we don't have any new polling data. I'll check with our bond consultants if we plan to poll again. I don't think that's on the radar screen, but that doesn't mean it won't change. That we would go out to let us know about polling. We're currently getting the word out, so the phone banking is hitting hard in both areas. So that's been a key measure right there. And the folks we work with are keeping track of the data that we're collecting on each night of the phone banking. So I think they may make a different decision down the road.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll take this time to commend Richard for his attempts at educating the electorate, such as it is on Nextdoor, and the time that you've taken. Your patience is exemplary.
You read that crap?
I do at my own peril. And as I said, I commend you for trying to educate.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been doing phone banking the last 2 weeks, and we have a group tonight, Vintage High School's phone banking tonight. And I would have to say generally, it's gone extremely well, considering, number one, how warm it was last week, getting people together and getting that thing kicked off. And we are getting a lot of positive feedback from people. So sure, there are some people that have been hard-nosed, but so far, from my experience, there hasn't been anybody that has been just ridiculously rude. And as I said, on the other hand, I think the people that do pick up and talk to us are getting, it's very complimentary and very committed to seeing that the bond passes. Now, whether they're just saying that or not, I don't know, but it sure feels good when you're phone banking and you get a really positive comment. So we've got some really good people calling, and we're starting to get that really rolling. So that feels really good.
And if you'd like to know how you can learn more about phone banking, you'd like to volunteer, Barbara would be more than happy to talk with you.
Yeah.
It is actually pretty fun. And
It is pretty fun. Yeah. Yeah.
You do it at a specific place, Barbara? They just,
Yeah. On Monday and Tuesdays, I can email you the information, Richard. Monday and Tuesdays, we're at a place called Casa Studios. It's right there behind Starbucks on Lincoln.
okay.
And then on Wednesdays and Thursdays, we're at 2160 Jefferson Street, office number 107. That's where they are tonight. And we do have people drop in. There's board members that drop in that call for like an hour. Mike usually drops in. I have some retired principals that are help sharing that responsibility. I've been phone banking on Monday and Thursday nights. And so it's, we just go hardcore for 2 hours, and it's going pretty well. Wouldn't you say, Mike?
I would. Yeah, I would. So, and as a reminder to the CBOC members, the district will have a CBOC for A1, and they'll have a separate CBOC for A2. Just as a reminder, there will not be one CBOC for for these two measures. You by law, you have to have a separate CBOC for each one.
Will you be able to find members in American Canyon?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we'll have any problem.
Yeah.
I don't. So, okay. Any other questions before we move on to the financial hub?
Could we go back to the website real quick? Just real quick.
Well, yeah, that's good because we'll need to, yeah.
Scroll down, please. So 200 million, 2 cents per $100 assessment value. So an assessment of $14 million annually throughout Napa is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And these are, what is the age, duration of the bonds?
I do not know that information off the top of my head, Kevin. So I'd have to get Rob here or somebody, or maybe, I don't know, Carlos, if you have any information on that, but I'd have to defer.
So, what was
Just
the
curious.
question?
I think the question is, are they all 30-year bonds, or are we doing any short-term bonds in this measure?
That would be assessed at the time that the bonds are issued.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
You're limited to 40 years under California law, but I believe the district's prior bond measures under age averaged between 25 and 30 years. We did do one series that was very short, and that's the series that funded some technology. So we weren't amortizing, technology over a long period of time, but I would imagine it'd be somewhere between 25 and 30 years. interest rates have gone up a little bit, so it's affected your ability to amortize debt within the target tax rate. But that's something that the district's financial advisor would decide at the time the bonds are sold.
One of the meetings I was with Rob, I said something about a 30 or 40-year bond, and he says, we're not planning on them lasting that long.
Huh.
But what he plans and what happens is two different things.
Yeah, just you know, again, Joe Public might ask, what does the $14 million annually mean, and how many years does that equate to? I mean, what Joe Public might ask is, how did you get to 14 million?
Yeah.
Right. We have average. I mean, we've said, approximately 30 years, Kevin. But as Carlos mentioned, when it's determined,
Okay.
Sale happens.
Just trying.
One more thing, in the ballot materials that the voters are going to get, one of the things that they're going to get is a tax rate statement, which is the district's best estimate today as to what the tax is going to be, and how long it's going to be levied. I don't have that in front of me, but that would give
Would
the
it be
best
here?
estimate that the district had. No, it would be, we would have produced that separately and submitted to the
Okay.
registrar. So
Got it. I thought maybe it would have been.
yeah, it's probably somewhere between 25 and 30 years, but the voters will certainly be given that information as part of their informational packet.
Okay. Just trying to set us all up for success, folks. All right. Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate it, Kevin. So let's stay on the website, Kelly, if you go back to the homepage.
Sure. Are we going to go to the financial hub?
Yep.
Okay.
So we've also curated this financial hub, and how this came about, so everybody knows, is when Dr. Massetti sent a letter out, I believe it was either late January, early February, it elicited a lot of responses, which was great. And I shouldn't say we, Dr. Massetti and her communications team took those responses and then categorized them based on what was coming through from the people that were responding back to her letter. And so what she did is she then had this financial hub created. So if you click on that financial hub, Kelly, you will have a video. I don't want to go to do the video, but you can click on the video. It's about a 3-minute video delivered by our communications director. Her name is Julie Bordas, and she kind of goes over the budgeting cycles that happen for public schools. And then if you scroll down, I think a little bit further, then there is a budget overview. And so they've managed to break down it fairly simplistically, but hopefully very informative for folks, so they can see how, our sources of income, our benefits, the cost for our budget, our salaries, and how that our salaries relate to the state of California, and by a per student ratio. Another comparison also on several topics, from how much of our budget goes through instruction related services, maintenance and operations, et cetera. Moving on, and then moving on to enrollment as well too, showing the trends in our enrollment and what we anticipate happening, that's happened this year, and then it'll happen out 4 more years out. And then I think there's a couple more to click on. Our current reserves that we have in the district, so that people can get a real sense at where we were and how we've done a great job as a district in increasing our reserves. I think our board policy states we need to have at least an 8% reserve, and which is great that we do. Minimum you have to have is 3%. If you fall below 3%, you face takeover by the state, which we were close to early in our tenure. And then COVID funds, we've heard a lot that folks don't understand how the COVID money has been spent, that we've received, so that people can see that the difference in but where the COVID money has been allocated to. And I believe if you scroll, I'm not sure if there's a bottom part, but there's more detail. Yeah, there's an explanation about the COVID funds. And then the other thing that came up, I think that's the last one, Kelly, is the basic aid. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people have had questions on why is the funding so low in Napa for per student as it relates to Howell Mountain, Calistoga, Pope Valley, and St. Helena in Napa County. And there's an explanation as below that explains it relatively clearly for folks to help them understand why Napa is funded at the roughly $10,000 per child. But the other districts seem to be funding at a much higher rate on that. So we wanted to bring that to your attention and just let you know that that's available. If you think it'd be helpful to share that with folks, it's on the website. And again, it was generated based on the letter that Dr. Massetti sent out and the responses that she received from that. And these were the categories that seem to be kind of coming up on a consistent basis, which is why we chose to present this information. So I'll stop and see if there's any questions.
So there's a narrative below here if we scroll down.
Yes. Yeah, there should be a narrative below each one of those, if I'm not mistaken.
But doesn't Napa Unified get more than $10,328?
Nope, that's what we get right now, Richard.
Yeah, but that doesn't really necessarily include the COVID money.
Yeah.
No, it does not. No, COVID money
Because
was.
COVID is one-time money.
Yeah, it's one-time money. Yeah, but yeah, they still have to, but it was one time. You did get it.
This represents ongoing funding.
Correct. Thank you for that. Yeah.
And it also has to do with the property tax base within the boundaries of the district.
Yep.
And so communities with higher property tax revenues slip out of this, go into the basic aid.
Okay, any other questions, folks?
Looks nice, Mike.
This is all good stuff.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate that.
No, it's easy for somebody to read. Good
And
first.
then the last item underneath here was the second annual the CalBach conference. A couple of years ago, well, prior to COVID, actually, Barbara and I went to the California Association of Bond Oversight Committees meeting in Sacramento. Found it, surprisingly, and I do mean surprisingly, found it to be really beneficial, actually. And it was very educational. It was extremely useful for CBSC members, and it was extremely useful for district members, to be really honest with all of you. So we wanted to bring this to everybody's attention. I'm planning on attending this virtual event, and
I'm coming.
and I think Barb is. And I believe the fee we pay allows us up to 6 members or 8 members to attend, if I'm not mistaken. So it is giving up part of your Saturday, 9:30 to 2 p.m. We'll see if they go all the way till 2 p.m. But you would do that from the comfort of your home or your couch or your office or wherever you choose to listen in on. I don't know if it's a participatory event where you have workshops that you can attend, or you have breakout sessions that you go to. I haven't seen an agenda on it. But like I said earlier, it was very helpful, very educational, and I'm anticipating something very similar. Looks like Jill has a question.
Okay. You talked about a fee. So you pay one fee and it covers X number of members?
Yeah, she's asking about the fee. You've paid it already, so therefore more of them can join.
I'll call you right back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me double check on something here.
Go ahead, Barb.
Hang on.
Hang up, Barb.
Hang on. It's Vic. It's not me. It's Victor, because it comes through his computer. So what we're going to do, if you're interested in going, Marie McMurray is going to register us tomorrow. And like Mike just said, we have an open ticket right now. So, and I think it's what, 5 people? Mike, is it 5?
I'm looking. I thought it was more than that, Barb. So I'm trying to find out.
So if anybody is interested in going, like Mike said, super valuable. They do a really good job. The participants are all people like us, citizens that from across California that participate in bond oversight committees, and they're respective communities. So you can either email me, and then I will, by the end of the day tomorrow, get your name to Marie so she can register you. And I assume you guys have my email. I think is it somewhere, Kelly? It's not public, I don't think.
I think there's a contact list on that we circulated at one point. You know, you could also do, Barb, is they can email spc@nvusd.org, the one that we always communicate with, because Marie checks that.
Oh, okay. Can you say that again to people?
Sure. So the same email that you received about the meetings, which is sbc@nvusd.org. So that's school planning construction at nvusd.org. That's the same email you receive your notifications from for the meetings. If you say, hey, I want to go to CalBach there, and you address your email to Marie, she will get it, because that's a group email box that is monitored by Melanie and Marie and Jennifer and a couple other people too. So go ahead and address it to Marie, and then I think you should be good to go.
And we believe we have enough. I'll double check, but we're pretty sure it's one ticket or one fee covers 15 people.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
All right.
Okay, so hopefully many of you will attend that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next meeting is November 9th at 4:30.
So for this one, we did want to bring up oh, sorry, that's item C. I jumped the gun. Go ahead, Kevin.
So Richard, we'll do, be sure to check the link in the email for the attachments. Also on the website. And then we have an option for November to do in-person, fully Zoom, or a hybrid.
Sorry to jump in, Kevin. I think we would have to do in person or Zoom. I don't think we could we could pull the hybrid off.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we talked about that. We talked
No,
about
it's on there. I'm sorry, it's on there still. I should have been that.
Okay, so my just speaking on from my opinion, right? I think it would be good to meet in person in November, but open to other people's opinions and views on that.
Kevin, will we at that point, will they also elect a new president, chairman, or whatever you are?
We will have to vote on a chair and vice chair, right?
Officers? Yeah.
Carlos, are there any other positions? We'll have to vote on a new slate of officers. That will happen at that.
The answer is no. Just chair and vice chair. I was muted. I apologize.
Okay, just chair and vice chair.
Looks like Jill has a question.
In person, can you put the address of where we're meeting on the website?
Yes, we'll add that back. Before COVID, it was always there. And then we took it off so that people didn't accidentally show up there. So we'll be putting it back. Absolutely.
Okay, anybody have an exception if we meet in person at the Technology Center? That's where we normally meet, right? Is that still the case, Mike and Kelly?
Yep.
We'll have to double check on availability, but I don't think it'll be an issue.
Okay.
And it is, we'll let people know, and we'll let the new address, and we'll make sure that the website reflects that.
Okay, not hearing any
I think it's a good idea.
umbrage with that. We will plan on meeting in person at 4:30 on November 9th at the Technology Center. And we'll get address out and all that other good stuff. Any other questions on that?
No, we'll be celebrating the passage of Measure A1. The election day is the 8th.
And A2.
And A2, sorry.
Let's hope we know. Let's hope we know by then.
Oh yeah, that's true. Last time you had to do a recount, so
That's not going to happen this time. We're going to be
it's gonna be landslide.
Okay.
We got
Also,
landslide.
also at the November meeting, just real quickly, folks, we will establish the next, the meeting cadence for the upcoming next 12 months?
No, I'm sorry, Kevin, we actually have to do that now because you don't have any more meetings after this
Okay,
on the
sorry.
schedule. So Melanie has drafted a new cadence for you guys. I know Mike has to take off here in a second. So Mike, if you need to jump off while we vote on the cadence.
Yep, I'm good with that. I'm going to jump off. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Bye,
And
Mike.
look
Thanks.
forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, here, hold on one moment and I'll pull that up for you guys. So this would be the proposed cadence. It follows the same pattern as the last one. But if you guys are comfortable with that, we would vote to approve it moving forward. So we've added January, March, and so on.
So Kelly, if I remember correctly, we only have to meet once every four times a year, correct?
That
By
is
law.
correct. And no, by law, you can meet even less than that. Your
Right.
bylaws establish that you meet 4 times a year. By
Right.
law, you can meet less. You do 4 times a year plus 2 specials.
To me,
So
just-
typically what we do is we just throw the word special behind 2 of these once we've decided which ones they are.
Correct.
Okay, and we need a motion for this, is that right, Kelly?
Well, wait a minute, was this under the future actions portion of the agenda?
This was under,
Yes.
well, it was under future meetings. I don't think it was called future actions, just to be clear.
Okay, I just want to make sure. 'cause if
Yeah.
it's the future action, we cannot vote on it, but if it's,
Future meetings and agenda items.
well, we're not going to be able to meet unless we decide when we're going to meet, right? So,
Correct.
okay.
You approve, Barrister?
I think it's the best we can do. I don't think anybody's going to complain about it.
All right, but that, well noted. I'll maybe change the language on that topic so it's a little clearer for next time. Okay, so let's go back to this agenda. Again, we would be staying with the second Wednesday and doing it every other month. So unless anybody has a problem with that.
Everybody good?
Sounds good.
Good.
We don't need a motion?
Yep. It's fine.
All right,
Okay.
I don't know. In the past, I think we voted on it, but
Okay, can I have a first?
We have voted on it in the past.
yeah. Looks like Richard had a first there.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in
Great.
favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
No.
Welcome to our next, or your next year of meetings. All right. Any other comments from the committee at this point? With that, we will wish everybody a happy.
Oh, I have a question. Kelly, you know the answer to this? What happened with today's charter meeting? Charter.
I don't know. I am
Oh.
blissfully unaware of charter situations.
Richard, it's tomorrow, the 15th.
It's tomorrow. It's in the paper. It said it was today. That's why, at least I thought it did. Maybe I read it too fast.
That
Okay.
is definitely not on the agenda.
Yeah.
This is a question before we, yeah.
Okay,
I think it's tomorrow.
It's a 2-day meeting. The
Oh.
meeting started today, but the voting is tomorrow for the charter, for the review, rather.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Skip. Thank you.
okay. Well, thanks, everybody. With that, we will adjourn. It is 6:09 PM. Thank you
Nice
all
work,
for your
Kevin.
time. We'll see you in person on Wednesday, November 9th at 4:30 PM.
29th, 7:30 AM. Okay.
Yep.
And the specific comments meeting review is September 29th. That's a Thursday at 7:30 AM.
Yep,
With
and
no-
thanks. Some of you have already clicked accepting the invite. So all set.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Have a good night.
How do we get it off?